Have you ever played bot lane and thought it would be a good time to engage since you saw the enemy jungle fooling around on the top lane, and suddenly the lights turn off and a fed Nocturne jumps right into your face since he demolished his mid lane opponent with point and click abilities? When the answer is no, you've never played against Nocturne Mid, a champ that requires no skill against melee opponents thanks to his spell shield and his point and click bullshit. By just pressing one button he can get other lanes ahead with a completely broken ultimate. And things doesn't get better late game since no matter where you are going to position in team fights, as soon as you start committing to the fight, the lights will turn off and you find yourself back in a position cut off from the entire team with this thing in your face. And you can't even burst it down thanks to this build and runes, and now I will show you how to dominate games with it. You already should use your brain during the pick and ban phase and spot the enemy mid laner, since there are two types of them, ranged and melee matchups. Depending on the opponent you need to adapt your playstyle and your secondary runes. Against melee matchups you should go eyeball collection since it increases Nocturne's attack and AP damage by killing an enemy champion, making it even easier to snowball into the late game. You can be sure to get a lot of kills against close range champions thanks to his brained kit. But how does this champ even work? Nocturne should look out for level 1 fights since Nocturne has lethal tempo, which increases his attack speed, together with his Q spell, which also makes his auto attacks even faster when Nocturne stays on the black area, slowing the enemy at the same time making it easier for him to run down enemies. Oh boy, but we are not finished yet. We still have to talk about his passive. Nocturne increases his damage with his next basic attack, which basically consists of making a circle, which hurts a bit more than a normal auto attack, and additional to that he also heals himself, which means more sustain during the fight for Nocturne. His passive has a certain cooldown of 13 seconds, but it can be reduced by 1 second auto-attacking a minion or 3 seconds when you auto-attack an enemy champion. So when you fight more you can increase the usage of your passive even more. It's a win-win scenario. When you have to play against a ranged champion, your time on the lane will be significantly harder since it is very likely that he is going to poke you down. So before you reach level 3, Nocturne should stay back and try to get as much farm as possible with his Q spell. When the enemy misses a spell, you can try to hit a Q and go in for a trade since it slows the enemy and increases your movement speed at the same time. But you haven't unlocked the one significant spell that can lock down the enemy, so it won't be easy to get a kill pre-level 3. Nope. That's why you need to change the secondary runes into Time Warp Tonic, which immediately restores 30% of your health and mana when you use a health pot or a biscuit. Oh, what a coincidence, your second rune is Biscuit Delivery. You just get some of these at 2nd, 4th and 6th minute, which is a great answer against poke damage. At level 2 you are going to unlock the spell Shield, which is quite simple. You dodge spells with it. It really helps you running down enemies since you block CC spells or dodge and engage. And now most of them lost their disengage spell, so it's your turn to run them down by using a Q. Luckily the W spell gives you 30% more attack speed for 5 seconds, so have fun trading against this thing having all this stuff. It is a major power spike against range matchups since you can simply ignore CC spells to run them down or survive some abilities with point and click stuff. But you need to time it correctly since the shield only lasts for about 1.5 seconds, not that long when you compare it with somebody else. But even with all these strong spells there is still one problem left. The enemy can run away from your early game trades. But when you reach level 3 there is a way to prevent this. This point and click fear spell. Unlikely with Fiddlestick's fear spell, it doesn't scare the enemy right away but instead create a bond between Nocturne and his prey, which has to last for 2 seconds, until the fear effect kicks in. And when you manage to get the enemy scared it's basically over since he can't defend himself and is forced to watch Nocturne auto-attacking him to death. Additionally to that, Nocturne gets a 90% movement speed buff while the target is feared in order to catch up. The range of this ability cannot be underestimated, and since Nocturne movement speed is quite high, you can be sure to get killed when you get feared once. Oh wait, I still have a stun left. Nope. Since you have a strong early game and Nocturne's is designed to play inside the jungle, you can easily contest the Scuttle Crab. When you are lucky, Nocturne meets the enemy jungler and can collect a free double buff. Anyway, your spell skill order should be Q, E into W, since Q is your main spell to get into the enemy's range to run them down and deal consistent damage. The W spell only increases Nocturne's auto attack speed when you put some points into it. The fear effect will last longer on the enemy when you skill your E spell, but that isn't really important since they are going to die anyway once they got feared. Well, since we have now discussed the skill order, it's time to wait until Nocturne hits level 6. The spell that turns Nocturne into a dangerous champion every AD carry fears, no matter where they are and what they are doing. As soon as they step on some vision they can be sure that the lights turn off and immediately get some company. From now on, Nocturne's game plan changed dramatically. Instead of getting kills on the lane, you will now look out for overextending enemies around the map and try to kill them. It's like ganking a lane, but instead of trying to avoid vision and being aware of the time you need until you reach the lane, you can now skip this part by pressing a single button. Nocturne's ultimate. It has two different phases. Starting with the first one, which basically makes the enemy blind. They can't see anything besides the stuff that is going on right next to them. This phase lasts for 6 seconds, a period where you can get jump scared at any moment. The second phase consists of Nocturne deciding to which enemy he wants to fly by just clicking on them. Easiest gank ever. And this is how Nocturne Mid can terrorize other lanes and get them ahead without struggling with objectives or clear paths like his jungle version does. You rather play passively against range matchups and wait until you hit level 6, or you take brain-dead punching fights against melee champs. And it doesn't matter if you decide to ult on the top lane or the bottom one. As soon as you have a number advantage early game, you probably won't lose the fight and get your other lanes ahead. You can even prevent the enemy jungler from doing objectives. Literally no one is safe from Nocturne Mid. Here is an easy kill, and this one is easy as well. Look how fast the enemy's HP bar melts. Oh my god, this is such a free win. This is the easiest champ I have ever played. Oh, you little son of a bitch. So how you are going to explain this? But as a roaming mid laner, you still need to be aware of when you want to leave your lane, since the wave state and the position of the enemy mid laner is quite important. Basic knowledge should be that you need to push the wave into the enemy tower in order to go for roams. Otherwise your laning opponent can easily get some turret platings while you're absent. And when you don't prevent it, you end up in a situation like this.
Excuse me, what the actual fuck are you doing in my house?
Since Nocturne can skip a huge part by ulting towards the enemy, but on the way back he is just a boring ass normal champion that has to walk back to his lane. When you are lucky, Nocturne can see them overextending and collect a free kill. But it's not only important to look at your own wave state, but also be aware of the wave state on the other lanes. You should try to gank them while they are standing right next to your tower, so they have to cover quite a long distance when they want to reach the safe zone. Due to this Bruiser type item build, Nocturne won't be able to deal that much damage as some of you guys are maybe used to. So he needs a bit more time to kill the enemies, since he is not a one-shotting type of assassin, but more like a champ that slowly runs you down because he wants to see you suffer. But when the game keeps on, enemies get more and more tankier and are more likely to survive your attack or can even run away from you. That's why you should get Stride Breaker as your first item, since this thing slows your opponent by 40% for about 3 seconds and also grants you some ability haste, which is great because it gives Nocturne the possibility to spam his ultimate even more. It's literally the only spell that makes him useful late game. The ultimate gives Nocturne the possibility to jump on the enemy hyper carry and try to kill them. There are now 2 possible outcomes. 1. You kill the AD carry and they lose some significant damage, or 2. The entire team turns on you in order to protect their carry, but since you build items like Sterax, which grants you a bonus shield, Nocturne is tanky enough to survive the incoming damage for a decent amount of time, giving your team enough space to get rid of them. As I have already told, most enemy champions are getting tankier when the game goes on. I mean, even AD carries have this item called Shield Bow, which protects them from getting one-shotted. This automatically forces Nocturne into longer fights, and that's why you're going to build items like Black Cleaver on him. But when you are more the type of guy that doesn't roam that much and enjoy bullying their opponent out of their lane until they cry, you should start playing Aloy support with lethality items. And if you want to know how to win the lane with this crazy off-meta pick, click on this video right here.